Okay, good morning. For the record, I'm Chris Young, Chair of the HDC Sign Advisory Committee. Let's confirm access. Members, please respond with an aye when I call your name. Mark Catone.
Aye.
Kevin Kuster.
Aye.
And Paul Wolf.
Aye.
And for staff, we have Billy Sad.
Here.
So this open meeting of the HDC's SAC is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020. That order, posted with the agenda materials for the meeting, allows public bodies to convene remotely so long as public access to deliberations is reasonably provided. This meeting is convening via Zoom with video and audio recording, and we're being broadcast via YouTube on the town's YouTube channel. We will feature public comment, and materials provided to members during the meeting are, unless otherwise noted, available on the town's website. During the meeting, I'll introduce agenda topics and speakers. Please remember to mute your Zoom audio until your name's called, and direct comments and questions through the chair to avoid crosstalk and the taking of minutes easier. Votes will be conducted by roll call. Let's call the meeting to order at 9 o'clock on March 14th, 2023. Do we have a motion to approve our agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Mark, you in favor?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And for the record, we've been joined. Ben Normand is also here for the meeting. Thank you. And do we have, let me just go back. Billy, we have minutes to approve from the last meeting.
Yeah, I'd emailed those out maybe a
Yes.
day or two after the last meeting.
Yes. Does anybody have any comments on those or want to make a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Mark, you in favor?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And Kevin?
Aye.
All right, thank you. So is anybody on the line for public comment that isn't related to an application? All right, seeing none, do any commissioners have comments that they would like to make?
Yes.
Kevin?
I just wanted to follow up on last week's full HDC board meeting. Billy and I were there to present on Mitchell's bookstore lighting. They upheld our recommendation to send back for revisions, so we'll see if they do or not. I think that one of the takeaways that I wanted to report back on is that it was suggested that in our recommendations, when lighting is applied, that we indicate that they should be turned, that if the business is one that allows lighting that's open after dark, that they be set on timers so that they go off without being left on all night long. So I think that's something to consider, that we just add to our approvals of lighting. But I think the overall sense was that they agreed with us, and we just need to kind of tighten it up a little bit so that everything's, treated equally. That's all.
And Mr. Chair, if I can say, the applicant did withdraw their application for 54 Main Street, just to keep you guys in the loop.
Great.
Okay. Thank you both. So any other commissioner comments? Seeing none, we'll move over to the first application, which is Sherburne Commons. And I believe Mike is on the line.
Hey, good morning. This is
true?
Mike from company.
Yes. So Mike, this is revisiting this application. Tell us what you're presenting now.
So after our last recommendations, we up the signs. They were butted up against each other. Now we opened up the space between, so they're a lot nicer up on the building, and we filled in on the home care, all with blue and white. We made it all blue, and then we added a white border around both signs, kind of give them that kind of a border frame. good. Thanks.
Okay. All right, thanks. Let me open this up to commissioner comments. Paul, do you want to start?
No, I have no comments. Looks fine.
Okay, Ben?
I think this is absolutely the right direction. The Briar Patch sign, is that an existing sign or is that a new sign?
What it
Mike?
was, there was a sign up
Oh.
there, and because of the size of the, there's a sign up there now that is
I see it.
20 inches by 84. So we're taking that one down and
Yep.
splitting them up because it's a shared entrance.
Yep. No, I'm fine. I think this is great. I appreciate your changes.
Okay, Mark?
No concerns.
Kevin?
I think it looks much better. The only thing I might consider is just a little thinner frame. It seems to be like it's quite wide, but other than that's a minor tweak, but I think this is a good approach.
Okay, thanks. I have an aesthetic question for the board. Two things that I'd like just to look at. It looks like we're going from top of door casing to bottom of the fascia without really any shingle space between. So I would like to know, Mike, is this sort of a general estimate, or are we? I'd like to see a little bit of shingle space. Although I see in the existing condition, there wasn't a whole lot to begin with.
There will
And then my
be
other question
space.
is, should we, oh, go ahead. Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, there is space. It's just maybe because of the way the sketch came out. There is probably about 3 inches above and 3 inches below the sign. So it's not right up against the frame
Yeah.
or the frame above.
Okay, I see that there. And then the other question is to the board. I'll go around. Does anybody feel like having the two signs centered over the windows would be any better, as opposed to sort of cantilevering off the edges of the door?
I would look at maybe bringing them just a little bit closer together.
Closer
Or
together.
I might even toss out this, like if they were just stacked on top of each other between the two windows to the right or something. They does look clumsy, and it seems like even pushing them together is going to make them overhang the door below. It is a little odd, but if they were stacked maybe to the right of that window, right of the door, but I don't feel that's wrong. It's just a suggestion.
Okay. Ben, you have any thoughts on that?
I think due to the location, I'm gonna let them make the best decisions on their own.
All right. And Paul, do you have any thoughts?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. I was just throwing those ideas out. Anybody want to make a motion?
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay. Mark, are you in favor?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And Ben
Aye.
and Paul.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for working with us on this.
Oh, of course. Thank you. It looks great. Thank you.
Okay. Second item up on the agenda. Blue
That
flag
would
development
be-
over at 12 Federal Street. Mike as well.
Yes. Yes. So what they're doing is there is an existing sign there now, the Pearl, and they're changing it, keeping everything. The projecting bracket coming out will stay. The size of the sign, okay. The colors will stay. Everything is pretty much going to be existing. They're just kind of just putting the word the Pearl up there alone. Everything's going to be carved. It's a nice white background with a navy blue letter.
Okay, thanks. We'll open this up. Kevin, do you have any thoughts?
Could we just go up to the application 1 second quick? I don't see anything for lighting, so I'm fine with that. I just want to make sure that everybody knows. Other than that, I think we're good. I'm good with it.
Okay. Great. Mark?
Mr. Chair, this is Brad from Blue Flag.
Hi, Brad. How are you?
Good, how are you? Would just like to let you know, there is a existing gooseneck light over it. that wouldn't change.
Okay, and so,
There's no added lighting.
got it. Did you hear the comments at the beginning where the board is suggesting that any approvals that, so we would want to just modify this application to indicate that it has lighting, which is just a
Okay, yeah, that
technicality, but
it was a pre-existing condition, but we can certainly modify.
okay. And then the thought being that to ensure it's not on all night long, is there a timer or what's going to be the method of?
Traditionally, there hasn't been, but we certainly can put one on if that's what the board wishes.
Seems to be the direction that we're getting from the full HDC board, is that we
Sure.
should request that. So if that could be added to the application, that would be great.
Is there a time that it's supposed to go off, or is that to the applicant's discretion?
It's the hours of operation. That's what the guidelines
Okay.
say, basically. So we're going around the board. We've Mark, did you have any comments?
No concerns.
Okay, Ben?
I think it's a approvable sign. The A looks really weird. I don't know if anybody thinks the font on the A is really bizarre looking. And it's kind of a shame to see the Pearl sign that is really a cool sign kind of being replaced with sort of a manila, less exciting sign, but it's approvable. Although I just want the commissioners to really look at that A, and is that, I don't know, something weird is about that A, but anyway, otherwise I'm okay.
Well, it's lowercase. I don't really have too much of a concern with it.
Okay. Paul?
I agree with Ben. Any sign or anything I'm looking at that mixes the capital and small letters race me the wrong way. However, it's probably approvable according to the guidelines.
Yeah, I would say that in this case, the 15% rule probably also, applies. So that could make that a moot subject. Does anybody want to make a motion? I think a motion should include lighting conditions.
I'll make a motion to approve with the addition of the existing lighting to be turned off at the end of the hours of operation, and for the wattage to be no more than the standard guidelines.
Okay, I believe that's 15 watts, if I recall, downlit. But we'll just let the guidelines be the.
And for those of
Follow
you
the
who missed
guidelines
it, I
then.
think for those of you who missed it, I think the lowercase a, the little circle in there is the Pearl.
Yeah. I figured.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay,
that's my
so
motion.
we have,
That's
so we have a motion.
stretching.
We have a
That's
motion
stretching
to
the point.
approve using lighting per our guidelines to be controlled by the hours of operation. Does anybody second that?
Second.
All right, Ben, are you in favor? And Paul,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
and Mark.
All right.
Great. Thank you, Brad and Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I just have a quick question. Do you want
Sure.
the light noted on their application before it's approved?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, usually we would put that into our comments as a condition for approval, so I'm not sure the technicality of how that gets. Staff, I assume you can add that to the
Yes.
application. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I just have one other thought in
Thanks,
looking at this to maybe add is it's a little hard to tell how thick it is. It looks really thin in this photograph. I would just encourage that it have some weight to it so it's not flying around. That's all.
I think it says inch and a half on the.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Dimensions.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Great.
Yeah. So
Great. Thank you.
sounds good. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
We've got Kathleen Souza at 15 Back Street next. Is anybody on the line for this? Nobody's here to represent this application. Billy, what is the history on this? I know we've seen this before. Is this something new or did it just not get approved? Was it held for revisions?
So you guys approved a sign, which I don't have a photo of. I could easily pull that from the file and send it to you. This is slightly different from what was approved because you had a serif font on the sign.
Got it. And it's also mounted in a way that we would not have approved being on top of the casing. Okay, so there's nobody here to represent this. It was basically a sign installed that didn't comply with the approval. And so they reapplied. You sent them a notice and then this is their application to get this approved. Is that how this?
Yes, yeah, they had a few violations, which they had 2 of these signs and they had a neon open sign. They've removed the 2 additional signs and they're left with just this quarter board. But again, I can pull the approval and send you guys a copy. I believe the original approval was for the sign to be mounted here.
Okay. Got it. Can we hold for representation since I'm sure this will, I mean, I suppose we could just vote on this without any representation, but that's not going to help the applicants, I don't think. Does anybody else have we'll go around the board and see what the comments are. Ben, do you have any comments?
I think everybody's gonna roll their eyes when I say this, but I think it's just a charming little thing. It's almost handmade looking. It has a feeling of just like old fashioned getting something done. Maybe it doesn't comply with our guidelines exactly, but it's like a corner board. I don't know. For some reason, seeing this is heartwarming in some way, just because of how simple it is. The mounting is wrong. It needs to be on the shingles, but I hate to say it, but in a lot of ways, I really like this sign.
Okay, Paul.
I don't agree with Ben. I don't like it at all. It looks homemade and sophomoric. I think the letters are too big for the size of the sign. They should be serifed. I don't like the color, but it might be okay since it looks like it's the same color as the door. And then I have a question. Is the Joe's Barbershop sign, has that been removed?
No, that one was, they received permission to leave that sign up, as I recall. Is that correct, Billy?
Yeah.
After presenting the historical.
That's what I thought, although I don't see it in this picture, so.
I believe it's mounted over in this corner here, projecting.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, those are my comments.
All right, so we have.
Oh, and there's no edge banding on the sign.
Right. Okay.
Ben doesn't care about that because he likes it.
So, Kevin, what's your opinion?
I remember asking them or suggesting to them that they put the sign over the door. So I think they've done what we asked. I recall also that one of the previous submissions was a different shape to the sign, and so we got that simplified. I tend to agree with Ben. I think it fits the building. I would like to see it get off the door frame. It is all uppercase letters. They're kind of a handmade block letter, which in this case I agree with Ben. I'm fine with. So I think if we could encourage them to move it off the door frame, I'm fine with it.
Okay, and Mark.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Ben and Kevin on this one. I'm totally fine with sort of handmade sort of quality to it. The building is like screams 1950s. The sign seems like it kind of comes from that period, sort of a period of Nantucket that we're rapidly losing. I'm fine with it. Other than, yeah, if they want to pick it up off the casing, that wouldn't be a bad thing. But otherwise, I'm good.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve with the sign lifted off the head casing and surrounded by cedar shingle.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Paul, are you in favor?
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
and Ben.
Aye.
Okay, there we go, Billy. If you could just tell them to raise it up so there's visible shingle space between the door casing and the sign. We recommend approval. And now we have a series of signs for NIR. I see that one is represented by Carolyn Butler and the rest are signed here in Nantucket. Is that correct, Billy, or folks on
Yes.
the line? Okay,
Yeah.
so 18A Federal.
That's us.
Great. Would you introduce us to your sign then?
Yeah.
What are you looking
Yeah,
to
so
do?
my name is Rich Amsinger. This is Carolyn Butler. We own a company called Many Moons. The sign is 24 inches by, I believe, 16 inches. It's white, mahogany wood. I believe it's like 1.5 inches thick. It's all uppercase font. There's a small crescent. There's a small carved out crescent moon that makes up the other O on this sign. And there is 2 lights that are on a timer outside on the facade of the building that light the sign and then turn off after hours.
Okay. And the wattage on the lights, it's something that we always have to remind people that the guidelines do limit the wattage. So it looks like that's a pretty robust floodlight bulb. Perhaps I'm just seeing.
I
think that's just the picture.
Yeah, I think it's
right?
the picture. I can
You can
Okay.
double
check it.
You said 15
Okay.
watts.
Yep.
I believe I think it's listed in 15 watts, or it might be in lumens, but we can look that up if you need it to be checked. Let me go around the board and start with Mark.
I don't have a concern other than that there probably should be an edge band proposed of some sort here, some sort of frame. It can be done on the black just to kind of comply with the guidelines, basically.
Okay, thanks, Ben.
Yeah, I agree with Mark. Needs some type of edge band or something.
Okay, Kevin.
I don't have an issue with the sign. I do agree that an edge banding would help. What I'm wondering about is how this sign is going to relate in the context to the other signs on this building, and if we shouldn't be looking at this building as a whole to a certain degree. I also don't agree that this particular business is one that is going to require lighting. I don't see this as any different than Mitchell's bookstore, frankly. I understand that they're existing. I doubt that they were ever approved, and they really proliferate along the entire front of this building, and some of them have been on all winter long, day and night. So since we have a number of signs coming up on this building, I think it would behoove us to look at all of them together and see if there's some similarity in size and so forth, and also perhaps get a master sign plan. I don't know if that's really necessary, but I think it's an opportunity to clean up some of this lighting. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, to that, what are the hours of operation that this store is open?
We open 9 and we close at 6 p.m.
Okay, so in reality, lighting is not, if it's based on the hours of operation, you're open during daylight hours.
Yep.
Essentially.
Well, can I jump in, Chris, if I may?
Yeah, Mark.
This whole lighting thing, I think, is kind of weird. In some cases, the light on these signs actually provides some nice light on the sidewalk, which the town hasn't been, as we know, historically has been grading maintaining their street lighting. I'm not saying that should be a reason why every sign should be lit. Also, this precludes the shop owner. Maybe there's going to be a night you're open till 10, and I'm looking directly at shop owners. You know, maybe Stroll, you guys do a late night type thing, and now your sign isn't lit. And the lighting's already there. I do agree that it should not be on all night. I think our recommendations should be that it should turn off which is typical, would turn off when the shop closes. But just because an owner says, you know, they close it right now, they close at 6, maybe they're going to see how business goes and they're going to push until 8 in season or later. They may want the opportunity to illuminate their sign, and then a light on a sign obviously is an indicator of being open or closed. I find. So I think that either this needs further discussion, but I think to blanketly tell people they can't have lights in their sign. The other thought I have on this, I'm a little cautious about homogenizing the building by every sign, a master sign plan, and all the signs then looking the same. I think there's something a little interesting breaking it up, to be honest. I mean, our whole country is homogenized, right? You go to any city, all look the same. So I think to have a little variety in signage, as long as it complies to guidelines, is not a bad thing. And that allows the signs to be reflective of maybe the shops themselves and a little more character and personality. So that's my soapbox for the morning. But thank you.
All right. Value both yours and Kevin's opinion. Paul, would you like to express?
I agree with what Mark said, and I agree with whoever mentioned the edge banding on the sign. Other than that, I think it's fine.
Okay. Thanks. And Ben?
I already said I just think it needs edge banding.
Oh, sorry. So then I guess we've got the lighting. We will be seeing the other signs, but sounds like there might be consensus to make a motion here. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'd make a motion to approve with edge banding and the lighting that it's existing should be on a timer such that it is not operational overnight and should be consistent with shop hours as required.
Okay. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Kevin, are you in favor of that?
Aye.
And Ben?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
And Paul?
Aye.
Okay, so I think just to be clear, because the question might come from the applicants, and when we say edge banding, it means a black border, black line, something that takes away that sense of just sort of bleeding off into the edges of the sign. So you can see through other signs around town, you know, some people put a black line that's inset an inch from the edge. Other people just paint the black border at the edge. Is that understood?
Hi. Can
Hello.
I make a comment? Can I make a comment from sign here? I think we're going to be doing their sign, and I just had a question in terms of the edge banding. Would a bevel count, and that bevel could still be white? Because I believe Erica Lynn was a similar thing was approved. So I just want to explore the options with that.
I think, well, we'll go around the board and sort of get everybody's opinion on that. So Mark?
I think because there's so much, and maybe it's sort of a case by case basis, but I think because there is so much white space on this, it would benefit. I'm even okay with a black outline painted on the face of the frame, you know, just to collect the body of the white. It sort of frames the white. So whether they choose to do that in a literal frame in a contrasting color in black in this case, or if they do it as a fine pencil line outline to contain the body, I'm fine with that too. We've done that in the past. A bevel simply in white, I don't think really achieves what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay, Paul.
I agree with that. I mean, the bevel could be painted black, but
Correct.
okay.
And Kevin?
Happy to agree with Mark.
Okay. Ben?
I agree with what Mark said.
Okay. And I think that's, yeah, my feeling as well. So The idea is to capture the white space from bleeding off. So I think the black, some defined line is important.
Mhm.
All right, so that was recommended for approval with that condition. And we will move on to the next 18
you.
Broad Street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
This is going to be a 20 by 30 sign. It's actually very similar to the previous sign, but this one has a white bevel border and the size is a little bigger. It's the old Act 4170. Similar situation, just a new sign.
okay. Got it. We'll open this up. Ben, do you have any comments?
No, at first I was worried about the 20-inch height, because I think the last sign we were looking at was a little thinner than that. But if you go to that picture of the streetscape there, yep, the next one, next one maybe. Yeah, that one. You can see that bracket's actually hung up on the fascia rather than that frieze board. So I think that's allowing it to be a little taller. I'm fine. I'm fine with this application.
Yeah, the bracket
that's-
is a 20 max bracket, so the old sign had to at least be between 18 and 24 inches tall. So
Gotcha. Thank you. I think the key is to try to maintain the minimum off the sidewalk and 7'6", if I'm correct, is the height that we like to see. Let's just double check that. I'm just reading the sign book. Give me one moment here so I can. Yeah, 7'6" above the sidewalk is to the bottom of the sign. So that's just something to bear in mind. It's hard to tell from this photograph where that would end up, but do you have an idea of how high off the sidewalk that bracket is?
I don't have an idea, but obviously if the other sign was between 18 and 24, 20 inches would be pretty similar to what the other sign was.
Okay. Let me continue going around. So, Paul, you have any thoughts on this?
No comments.
Okay, Kevin.
Recommend approval.
I think that it would be wise to remount that bracket at the same height as the others. This was apparently pulled up higher for the last sign or at some point. I think it's important that these signs hang from the same level. I agree they don't all need to be exactly the same size or shape, but I think they should hang from a common line, similar to what we have in front of Sherburne Hall. I also think by it being up, you can see right there, the lights are shining upright and they're on. But I think there's room to make the sign a little smaller. It's going to still read. I think the sign is attractive, but I think the mounting can use a little more sensitivity, and I would put the same caveat in for when the lighting is turned off. That's all.
Okay, Mark.
I guess I agree with Kevin in the spirit of agreeing with Kevin.
Okay, so I'm just reminded of the issue we had down on Main Street where the sign approval went forward, and then we had a sign at the height where people could hit their head, which we definitely need to avoid in the future. So design-wise, the sign from design concept, everybody sounds like approves. It's more concern about where that bracket is, and I'm not sure if precedent is going to be brought up. I'm not sure. I would be surprised if we approved that bracket at that location. I think it might have just been installed there, unbeknownst to us. I'm just guessing, but I think that we need to have you take a look at the height of the sign relative to where the bottom would be to the sidewalk. Because of we did have that issue on Main Street where it was a problem that we had to resolve post
Sure.
installation.
So I'll take a look at what the bracket would look like at the lower level in terms of the height of the sign to the ground. The last sign you just approved was 16 inches and this
Okay.
is 20. So it's a matter of 4 inches. And it also is a matter of where the hook, how far the hooks go down, like if it's on a chain or not. So I'm sure that
Yeah.
would go into the fact as well. I'll definitely take a look at the height. And
Okay.
if it's not 7 inches, obviously, 7 feet, we can reevaluate the size of the sign. But
That would be great. And thank
Is
you.
everybody okay with color? It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's Costa Rica blue. How bright is Costa Rica blue?
Costa Rica.
Um,
it's pretty close to the pictured color.
Okay.
Obviously, there's discrepancy, but pretty close.
Yeah.
So it's lighter.
Yeah, it's
or
lighter
it's not,
blue.
it's not a fluorescent
It's
blue.
blue, but it's lighter.
Okay.
Okay, so do we want to just hold for a revision so that we can confirm how this this is relative to the sidewalk?
Can we like maybe review the design concept itself so that way I can take a look at the height from the ground and at least we have a concept of design. So it's I know moving forward what I should submit the next time.
Sure. I don't think that any board members, speak up, any board members, if you have a concern about design.
No,
No
No, I
concern.
think that,
Okay.
I think it was pretty generally approved design, everything, just mounting bracket and size considerations.
Chris,
Yes, Paul.
this is more of a question, but that light appears to me is shooting up into the sky, not on the sign. So that should be addressed as well.
Right, I think the same lighting considerations that we're telling everybody, limited wattage pointing down towards the sign, hours of operation, limiting its use.
Sure. The other business just had moved out, so I just took a picture of the conditions as is. I'm sure it will all be adjusted when the new business moves in, but I will take that into consideration.
All right, thanks. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll move approval so long as the finished product 7.5 feet above the sidewalk.
Oh, okay, so are you including moving the bracket in that recommendation?
Yes, I'm sorry. Dropping the brackets.
Okay.
Reasonable.
So that it matches the location on the fascia. Okay, do we have a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay, Mark, Kevin, are you in favor of that?
I am, however, I guess I have a question. I thought we were looking for a motion on revisions. I'm okay with it as long as it's going to get checked so we don't have an issue down the road.
Right, I tend to agree with you on that, so I guess I don't want to open the door for an issue, but the motion was made, so.
Well, then I'm not in favor.
Okay, so that's a no. Ben?
You know, it's almost like a staff approval at the HDC. I think everybody knows what we want. I don't think we need to look at this again. So, you know, I'll follow along with Paul's motion. So, yay,
Okay.
I guess, or whatever I have to say.
Okay, Mark?
I agree with that. Aye.
Okay, so Billy, we're putting some extra work on your table here. Basically, it's being recommended for approval with the staff approving the height conditions, so,
Height and the light, right?
and the lighting, yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Thanks,
Okay,
Billy.
thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, next application up is for 18 Broad Street.
Yeah.
Sign here as well. And what do we have on this application?
This is Old After House. It's going to be Ethos, another wine bar. it's going to be using the existing positioning of the brackets. I was told the bracket is just moved inside, which is why there's no bracket on the building now, but the bracket would be going where the old positioning was. And it's a 24 by 16 inch sign. It's going to be burgundy, which is similar to Trisham's red, and like a White Mountains off-white. So yeah.
Okay. And what is the height of this sign? Again, we'll just address this
16 by
sidewalk issue.
24. So
Okay,
it'd be 24.
24 high.
Yeah.
Okay, would moving the bracket, since the bracket's off the building, would you be able to move it up if it was necessary to
Yeah.
make sure that we have adequate? I see there's a planter there, but that's not necessarily always going to be there.
Side, so we could put it wherever.
Yeah, okay, so just maintaining that clearance to the sidewalk is important. Yeah, like there, I think it looks perhaps a little low. Having hit my head on that doorway going into the wine bar several times, I could say it's a very low door. Let's open it up. Paul, do you have any comments?
No, I think it's a good sign. I like it.
Okay, Ben?
It meets our guidelines.
I have to recuse. I'm currently sitting in that building, so I don't know.
Okay,
It seems like I have to recuse.
got it. We've got quorum. Mark?
Can I see the photo of the building again with the proposed location, please? And so it's just that one light up lighting, it looks like, what I can see.
I didn't see too much lighting. Oh yeah.
Oh, there is on both
yeah,
sides.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, again, I don't have any concerns, and I guess sounds like it's going to become a standard of ours. Maybe it's just follow the guidelines in terms of lighting if it becomes part of our guidelines, but that the lighting will be inactive when the establishment is not operating. But otherwise, I have no concerns. I agree. I think it's a good looking sign.
Thanks, Kevin.
Nothing to add.
All right, I agree. I think, and it's interesting that the picture number 11 there, Billy, page 11 pictures, it looks like from the one angle on the left, it is higher up. And that's more where I think it should be. That bracket seems to be, a little higher than the photo on the right. So just please keep that in mind. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve with lighting operational during hours of operation only. I use operation twice, but yeah.
All right. And with the height meeting the guidelines.
Yes.
Thank you.
Second
For that. All right, great. And Kevin, are you in favor?
Aye.
And Ben, or excuse me, Ben's not voting. Mark?
Aye.
And Paul?
Aye.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
We've got 7 South Beach Street that you're representing.
Yeah.
And what are we doing here?
So this is Daria Salon. It's a similar color scheme to their pass sign. I believe their pass sign was black and white, and this one is white and black. So they're really just kind of changing the logo type font. But it's a 20 by 30 double-sided projecting sign. And the bracket would go where the old bracket is. It's just moved inside. And that's pictured on slide 6, where the old bracket was.
Okay, so this is, and it was the old sign the same size, did you say? Oh, it's
It
an
was a
oval.
circle. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Opening this up to comments. Ben?
I think this sign needs a border, and I think we need. Are you reusing the existing bracket, or are you going to use a new bracket?
We're going to be using the same bracket. I was told it's inside. I would have to confirm that, but if it fits, we would use the same bracket.
Okay. Well, it's an unfortunate looking bracket on that facade, but yeah, as far as the sign goes, it definitely needs a border, a contrasting colored border. In that bracket, just the black on that white frieze looks horrible. No offense, but it's an unfortunate bracket design.
Okay, Mark,
I would agree with Ben. I think the sign would benefit from a border and comply with the guidelines. And I thought I had one other thought. I guess that was it. Thanks.
great. Kevin?
Nothing to add.
Okay, Paul?
Nothing to add.
Okay. Motion?
Motion to approve with the addition of a border in a contrasting color, black ideally.
Second.
Thanks. Kevin?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And Mark?
Aye.
Did I get Paul on that?
Aye.
Thank you, Paul. Sorry, I think I went, got Kevin twice. Okay. Great. So any questions on that? I mean, you know about the borders, what we're saying, right?
Yeah,
Same
do.
discussion as before.
I do totally understand that. I guess I am a little confused. I am totally cool with it, and the client would be cool with it as well. But just, you know, that a bevel in the same color could work as a border on some and not others. That's
Yeah, I think that's a valid point, that not always, you know, not, if we've made a bad decision in the past, we're not required to make it in the future. I guess that would be my response there. So that the idea that the shadow line argument has satisfied the border of concern, it doesn't really accomplish the goal, in my personal opinion. So that's why we were really trying to, the idea is just to capture that white space from bleeding off, off the edges of the sign. So bevels, I think the bevel was like the result of somebody taking a three-dimensional applied frame in the same color, which does give some shadow effect, saying, well, then why not just do a bevel? And, it sort of evolved into this skirting of the idea. So here we are trying to rein that in.
Chris, I recalled my last comment or thought.
Yes.
With this application, and honestly, with the previous applications that are of the same sign type, I didn't see, unless it's in the application, any notes for the stay chain on these, so they don't flap on a day like today in the wind.
So what chain? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
A stay chain to keep it from just flapping, and it honestly is to the benefit of the sign, so it doesn't get destroyed in the wind. But typically we require a stay chain of some sort on these to keep them stable. And that would be beneficial here, and probably the last two applications we just reviewed as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mark. And that really is more for the benefit of the sign owner.
Yeah.
Maybe not the sign maker, because you might have a chance to make a new sign, but but in any event, good point. All right, well, I think this is going to go up with a recommendation for approval with the addition of the border and
we
for
have
Federal
one
Street as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be Bow and Row. It's in that yellow building on the corner. It's a 24/16 sign using an existing bracket. It's white and blue, pretty straightforward.
Okay. Ben, do you have any comments?
No. Please, sign maker, don't take this the wrong way, but I feel like a lot of these signs are starting to be very repetitive in their kind of blandness. So no offense, but it's fine. It meets our guidelines, but yeah, like the pearl looks a lot like this, and I feel like all of them are starting to look very similar. So it's just the sign of the times, but I'd love to see some more elaboration on these signs in the future.
Totally, and I hear you on that. A lot of it is to deal with the font and also the regulation.
Yep, no, I know. We don't make it easy for
All right, Kevin?
I have no comments other than make sure we add our standard lighting provisions.
Okay. Doesn't look like there is any lighting. Oh, there is actually, isn't there, on the side of the building there? Okay, so the standard lighting conditions would be, I think that would be, as Mark said, we have to boilerplate that with any application related to lighting.
I'm
Yeah, go
just curious as to, I'm not sure, but I don't think this building had the rope lighting, or was that further down the street?
I don't think this one.
I think that was further down the street.
Yeah.
This was the
Okay.
Cashmere shop, if I recall.
All right.
You're thinking of the
Eye of the Needle.
The needle.
Eye of the Needle, right?
Yeah, sorry.
So that was no comments on the sign, Kevin.
Right.
Okay, and Ben?
Ben
Oh,
Alright,
excuse me,
spoke.
Ben, you spoke. Paul?
I have no comments. I do have a question though. Obviously, we must have approved the prior sign, but not necessarily. But would it be more appropriate for this sign to be hanging on the corner over the door? It's more of a question. I don't really feel strongly about it, but it's in the middle of the building.
I feel like that's potential for people to hit their head with the staircase.
It maybe is an
Yeah,
interesting.
maybe it is. All right,
portico
no,
design.
I'm going to withdraw my comment.
Okay. Forgive me, Mark, everybody's weighed in, correct, Mark?
I had not.
Okay. What was
Shall I
it? Any
know?
comments?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Ben. I do feel like we've just seen the same sign about 4 times in a row. So if we can encourage a little variety on these, I know that, and speaking as an architect, that's not always that easy. But otherwise, yeah, as far as the application before us, I don't really have any concerns. Thank you.
All right, would somebody like to make a motion?
Move approval.
I'll second that.
All right, thanks, Kevin.
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Ben,
Bye.
and Paul.
Aye.
Great. All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
We have a master sign plan for the Brandt at 6 and 8 North Beach Street. And Dolphin Court. Is Linda Williams on the line?
Don't see her.
Billy's-
I
Is
don't see
anybody
her
here?
on here.
All right, is anybody on the line for this application? No.
Hang on one second. I'm gonna stop screen sharing here for a second, just to see if I can see anyone else. This is my screen share.
While you're doing that, has the board had a chance to open up the email where that Esmeralda had sent us this application as an addendum?
I have, but
Sent
I actually
yesterday.
I spent a fair amount of time with it, and took a photograph of one of the existing signs down there that Billy can pull up in a minute, but yeah, here we go. Are we going to open this up, or?
Yeah,
I guess-
yeah, this is open. I was just looking to see if there's an applicant, but we'll start with you, Kevin.
Well, what they're asking for is to move what they claim is an existing freestanding sign. The existing sign, Billy, if you could pull that picture up, is just down on the corner. And this, to me, does not look like it was a grandfathered armature or lighting. It looks like it's all been new. So I think we should perhaps pull the file on this to see what actually did exist there, perhaps. But essentially, they're asking to move this freestanding sign to where you just saw on the previous slide. And on this previous here, I think there's ample opportunity to put the sign either on the fence, on one of the buildings. I think just because you perhaps had an existing sign that now you want to move to a new location, I think that's a stretch of what grandfathering is, frankly. So I have an issue with that. I have less of an issue with interior signs. I question whether we need all of them. But I don't think there's a lot you can see from in there. So those are, and I also question why we would be approving a master sign plan without actually seeing and approving the signs at the same time. Because does this mean that if we approve master sign plan that any other sign can go in? It's just a little confusing to me. So anyway, to be long-winded, shorten it up. My main concern is I really don't think this project warrants a freestanding sign, especially along here. It just opens up a huge precedent for sticking freestanding signs out. So that's my biggest concern. And I guess it's up to the rest of you guys if we want to hold for representation or make our comments, but I think either way it's going to get discussed. So that's all.
All right, thank you, Kevin. And I'm trying, does anybody recall, I know there was a freestanding sign there, but what was the name of the bed and breakfast that was in this location?
Wasn't it owned by the Kaiser family?
The
Yes.
Kaisers, yeah.
Was it simply Brant Point Inn or something like that?
I thought it had a name. It wasn't Dolphin Court, but I thought it had a name. Anyway, I'm just trying to look up on the internet to see if there's photographs of the previous sign and brackets. I'm sure we can find it because it might have, whether Billy will be able to find something in the file. I'm not sure how easy that will be, but I'm sure, I think you're right, Kevin, this probably does want to have some further discussion and representation, but let's keep going around. Mark, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, it was just the Brant Point Inn previously.
It was, okay.
If you go online, you can see the original freestanding sign. I probably agree with Kevin. I'm a little concerned with the precedent setting of relocating freestanding signs. I think if they have a sign and then the armature's been maintained per our guidelines, they have the right to propose reusing it. It was at the far end of the property, I think, where their flagpole is noted on the plan now.
There it is.
So I think if they wanted to continue using it in that location, that's probably fine. But I do get it. They probably are trying to get it more central to the complex. But I have some reservations about starting to move freestanding signs around a property. So I don't have concerns with a lot of the interior signage or probably any of the interior signage. And my comment would be that if they want to continue to use the freestanding armature, it should remain in its original location. Otherwise, propose something new in compliance with the guidelines. Thank you.
Chris,
Thanks,
just
Mark.
one other thing while we're on
Kevin.
this. If you look at the actual plans themselves, it indicates a choice between wood or I think they call it foam wood or something. And the handicap signs, I believe, are also being proposed as an acrylic. And there's another type of sign that's the plans ask for how they're going to be hung. These ones you see now, North Beat, it says, please confirm. I mean, it's like, where are they going to hang? There's just a lot of questions for me on this and inconsistencies with the guidelines. I think that, we worked really well with, far away, and they stretched a bit. So I think we should take our time with this one as well.
Thanks for that comment. We'll continue to get input. Paul, do you have any thoughts?
I can't add to what's already been said. I agree that I'm not excited about moving a freestanding sign. I'm not even sure we ever approved that other one, but nevertheless, it was there.
Yeah, okay, thanks. And Ben?
I think we should, it's good to set our comments and let Linda hear our concerns, but I think she will come back and talk to us, I suspect. The grandfathered freestanding sign, it was placed in an awkward position, I think, from the get-go. And for them to maintain it with the new signage just feels confusing for the pedestrian who's actually trying to engage with this complex. Unfortunately, I think I'm less concerned about having it relocated if we can find some precedent setting or some foot to stand on that relocating it is actually more logical for the function of this complex. So I may be the odd man out to actually be somewhat and I'm also, if we say that if it can't be a freestanding sign where they want a sign, then what are they going to come back and recommend? And I'm just worried that solution might be less pleasing than the freestanding sign. So I'm open to it. I'm not committed to it, but I'm not fully against relocating the freestanding sign.
If I may add, I don't disagree with what Ben's just said, and that's consistent with my comment that I think they relocated it in a spot that makes more sense for the complex. I think as we as an advisory group are comfortable with maybe its relocation in this one particular application, as this does not set precedent for relocating existing freestanding signs on properties in the future, or at least we reserve the right to review if indeed it improves the streetscape. It is in an awkward spot. It looks like it was jammed in the property lot. It looks like it'll actually be sort of slightly more tucked in this new location between the two structures. So I don't disagree, and I also agree probably we can expect Linda's going to return, and this might be held for representation anyway. But I just wanted to add that comment.
Okay, thanks. Paul, did you weigh in yet?
I did.
You said no more. Okay, couldn't agree more. Okay.
Chris,
go ahead, Kevin.
As long as I think we're going to have some time here, Paul raised a good question. Was this sign that we're talking about moving, was it actually approved? I know when we looked at the Marine Home sign a number of years ago, we asked them to produce documentation that it was approved, and they did, and it stayed in the same place. I guess I'd like to see some factual basis on whether or not this sign is actually grandfathered or just happened to show up, and if it should be in the approval list somewhere. So I'd like to request that we get that information. And also, I think if we go back and look at that front entry proposal, I think there's more than ample place to put a sign there without it being freestanding. I mean, there's a fence right there. So anyway, that'll be it for me. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. I sort of was sharing some of the same concerns, Kevin, just that we don't want to, this would be the first time I recall us ever allowing a freestanding sign to be moved, maybe with the exception of the hospital when they were, redid their campus, and of course they needed their emergency entrance signage. But for a commercial enterprise. I can't recall of anybody ever having this sort of consideration. So we should be really cautious. So
I guess the other thing is, you look at something that's supposed to be grandfathered, and that sign looks like it's a brand new development. It's a far cry from Joe's Barbershop, which has been maintained. So,
yeah,
kind of lost some charm.
Okay, well, sounds like
Motion to hold for revisions and representation.
that's where I think we were heading. Okay, anybody seconding that?
I'll second that.
Great, Mark, you in favor? And Paul?
Aye.
Okay, Kevin
Aye.
and Ben.
Aye.
Great. I believe that,
Billy, do you think this will still go up tonight? Or even though it came in late?
No, I mean, you guys motioned to hold for representation / revisions, so it's just gonna be relayed to the full board tonight that this application was held for representation
Okay.
/ revisions. Quick question, who seconded that last motion?
I believe that was Paul.
I will.
Okay,
All right, so then we have enforcement as the last item on our agenda.
Yeah.
Billy, do you want to update us?
nothing too crazy to update. I mean, any pictures you guys have sent, I've either sent out letters or reached out to the shop owner, so I can send you an update on the list and keep them coming. The one thing I did do, Ben, was I finally got down Center Street, so I know the freestanding sign you're talking about over at St. Paul's.
Oh, Fair Street.
Sorry, Fair Street.
Was it there? Is it historically located?
I mean, I couldn't find anything on file. You're talking about the freestanding, sort of a
Menu board.
public notice
Yep.
type of sign.
Yeah.
So I was gonna reach out to them and just kindly ask them to put an application in.
I mean, it could have been there before. I'm not claiming that it wasn't there historically. I just don't know. It looked new to me, so.
All the pictures I've been able to find online don't show it, but it's kind of off to the side of the building, and a lot of the historical photos are focused on the building. So nothing on file. I mean, it's really not on me to prove that the sign was there. So hopefully they can.
Okay. Boy, not looking forward to reviewing that one.
I'm not looking forward to reaching out to them. So
Yeah. I did this to myself.
All right, any other member or any other board members have comments or questions on enforcement?
It's going to be a busy spring.
On enforcement, did we, I don't know if I brought this up previously, did we approve that banner that's been on the building for a while at the I&M? Celebrating their anniversary?
No,
Been there
I've
for,
never-
and
yeah.
I thought it was gonna be up for a few weeks. It's now been probably several months. So I don't know. There's a few getting messy violations that are out there that we just need to document, I guess. But that one, since I drive to the Rotary daily, it always pops out at me.
I will. I'll reach out to them.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to apply for it and we put a temporary period on it, fine, but it's been up for several months.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Any other comments? Any other motions?
Motion to adjourn.
second,
Mark,
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And Paul?
aye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right,
everybody.
thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Billy.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thanks, Billy.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Thanks.